half-life problems are generally best solved by writing out what you know and then trying to use that information to find whatever other little pieces of information that you need in order to get what the required information is. So like here says, in this question it asks, what is the half-life? What is the half-life of a 100-gram sample, nitrogen-16, that decays to 12.5 grams of nitrogen-16 in 21.6 seconds? So here we see that we begin with 100 grams of nitrogen-16, and it decays into 12.5 grams of nitrogen-16. So let's go ahead and figure out how many half-lives it took in order to get from 100 down to 12.5. So the way we can do that, there are mathematical ways, but I like just the way where we go down by half, go down by half again, go down by half again, and we can just see visually how many half-lives it takes. So 100 grams of nitrogen-16. After one half-life, we end up with 50.0 grams. After a second half-life transpires, we get down to 25.0 grams. After a third half-life transpires, we have 12.5 grams. So that was what we saw in our question as what the final mass of nitrogen-16 is. So therefore, it took us 3 half-lives, 1, 2, 3 half-lives, in order to get from 100 grams down to 12.5 grams of nitrogen-16. So that was 3 half-lives. So the question said, what is the half-life? Not just how many, and didn't ask how many, it said what is the half-life? So it took us, well, we can see from this question, it took us 21.6 seconds to get from 100 grams to 12.5. And that was 3 half-lives. Therefore, 21.6 seconds divided by 3 should give you the half-life of nitrogen-16. So therefore, 7.2 is the half-life. Let me rewrite this. 7.2 equals the half-life of nitrogen-16. Sorry, this is a little bit sloppy, but I'll just box this in so it's a little better. There we go. Okay. So 7.2 seconds equals the half-life of nitrogen-16. Okay, good. That was what was asked for. That's what we got. Okay. Second question says, gold 198 has a half-life of 2.7 days. How much of a 96-gram sample of gold 198 will be left after 8.1 days? So the question, how much is left? So 96 gram sample, the time, 8.1 days, the half-life is 2.7 days. So whenever I look at that, I say, okay, 8.1 days, 2.7 days, that means I can figure out 8.1 days. I can figure out how many half-lives have transpired. 8.1 days, 2.7 days. Okay, when you put that in your calculator, and you get 3 as the days cancel out, you get 3 as our number of half-lives. 3 half-lives have transpired. So now the question becomes, how much of the gold do we have remaining? So I'd say 96 grams is what we start with. Let's undergo 3 half-lives. 48 grams. That gets 2 half-lives. And then that gives us down to 24 grams. Then after a third half-life has transpired, we only have 12 grams of gold 198. 12 grams of 193. 12 grams of 198 remaining. So that's how much you'll have after 3 half-lives. So the third question that we're trying to figure out says chromium-48 has a short half-life of 21.6 hours. How long will it take for 360 grams of chromium-48 to decay to 11.25 grams? So that's quite that's several half-lives just by looking at it, I can tell. But let's go ahead and figure it out. So what we have, we're starting out with 360.00 grams of chromium. So let's go ahead, and from there, what we do is we say, okay, one half-life, gets us down to 180 grams. From there, we can go to a second half-life. This takes us to takes us down to 90 grams. All right, so then after, where was I? Sorry, I had to pause it for a second. Okay, so now after 3 half-lives, I go down to 45, and I should be including all of my zeros in each one of these, 0.00, 45.00 grams of chromium. Okay, so then it undergoes another half-life. 4 half-lives gets us down to 22.50 grams of chromium. So now we have to undergo a fifth half-life. And from a fifth half-life gets us down to 11.25 grams of chromium. So that means that we have to undergo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half-lives in order to get from 360 grams of chromium all the way down to 11.25 grams of chromium. So the question asked us, how long will it take for 360 grams of chromium-48 to decay to 11.25 grams? Well, it told us the half-life, 21.6 hours. But it took us 5 half-lives. Therefore, we have to do 21.6 hours for our half-life times 5. And that's the number of half-lives we had, which gives us, in the end, 108 hours. And because we only had 1, 2, 3 sig figs going in, all of these other numbers had more sig figs. This had 5, this had 4 sig figs. Therefore, our answer is only going to have 3 sig figs because that had the fewest number going in. Okay, last question. It says, how long will it take for a 40-gram sample of how long will it take for a 40-gram sample of iodine-131 half-life of 8.040 days to decay to 1/100th of its original mass? So we haven't learned the math to calculate a fraction like this, so we're just going to go ahead and do an estimate. We're going to take an estimate. So 40.0 grams. So if we want to figure out what 1/100th of it is, we say 1/100th of 40. Put that in our calculator, you get 0.400 grams. So let's figure out how long it would take to go from 40 down to less than 0.400 grams. So if I start out with 40.0 grams, 1 half-life. After 1 half-life, we have 20.0 grams. After 2 half-lives, we have 10.0 grams. After 3 half-lives, we have 5.0 grams. After 4 half-lives, we have 2.5 grams. After 5 half-lives, we have 1.25 grams. After 6 half-lives, we have 0.625 grams. And then after 7 half-lives, we have 0.3125 grams. So that is right there. It's not our final answer, but that is less than 0.4 grams. So it took between 6 and 7, somewhere in here, this number of half-lives, between 6 and 7 half-lives to get us down to 0.4 grams. So the answer, the question was asking is how long does it take? So let's just go ahead and do an estimate. So 6 half-lives, scroll down a little bit here. 6 half-lives, scroll down a little more, 6 half-lives, times the time that was given for 1 half-life is 8.040 days. And you put that into your calculator, and you get 48.2 days. That'd be 6 half-lives. 7 half-lives times 8.040 days. Put that in, and you end up getting 56.3 days. So somewhere in between these two times, it crossed from being 0.625 grams down to 0.3125 grams, which is under 1/100th, under 1/100th of the original amount. And so that is as precise as we are going to get in this unit.